great morning to be driving in. We are going to be talking about social media today, but before I get started into the presentation, and 40 minutes is not a lot of time, there's a lot of information about social media out there. Before I get started, it's always a nice idea for me to get a sense of where everybody in the room is at with social media, so I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. And I guess the first question is, how many people here are using social media in their business? Excellent. So the next question, which is a bit of a loaded question, is how effective do you think that your social media is in your business? So how many people think it's very effective in their business? Perfect. And of course the last question, and it's always a great sense for me of where people are at, how many people here do not have a Facebook page? Excellent. Okay, so hopefully in 40 minutes I can share with you guys some great information around social media. Now, when Susan told me that we were doing this presentation on social media, and then she told me I was delivering the presentation, I thought to myself, there's a lot of information about social media out there. And, the real question is, what can I share with you in 40 minutes that's actually going to make a difference to you? What is it really that you're looking for that you can take away and create something that's effective in your business? And I thought, in terms of the amount of social media, I was on Google last night and I input the search term social media information. And I came back with 201 million search terms. So I thought to myself, I'm going to have to narrow that down a little bit. So I put in social media strategy, and I still came back with just over 19 million search terms. So there's a lot of information out there, but still, social media really seems for a lot of people to be a buzzword. It's this great thing, but a lot of people, they know they sort of believe in it, and they know they should sort of do something with it, but a lot of people don't really think that it can work for them. And so really, they're trying to figure out, what is social media all about, and how can I use it effectively in my business? And I thought, this is interesting. With all this information around social media, why is it that people are still trying to figure it out? And the reason people are still trying to figure it out is because social media is completely different from any other type of marketing that's been available out there. It has quite literally changed the core fabric of how businesses are doing business with each other. And the real question is, well, why is it different? Well, the first reason that it's different is because for the first time ever, you have the opportunity for viral marketing. And I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite examples of what viral marketing is all about. If you are offended by swear words, I don't recommend you become a fan of this Facebook page. This Facebook page was started by a guy named Justin. And Justin, I think he was 24 at the time, and he thought, my dad says some really cool things. I'm going to just, for a lark, create a Facebook page, and I'm going to put everything on that Facebook page. Well, I think it's been almost 3 years later, and he has now just published the book called Shit My Dad Says. And quite literally, he's been offered a TV series program on CBS that starts this fall. And the entire thing has been word of mouth. And I share this story, and people say, that's really cool, but how do I relate to that? On a relatable subject from a viral media perspective, last year I came into the office, doing my daily business. I had a lot of things on my plate, and around 9:15 in popped an email into my inbox, and the email said, there's this fantastic shoe sale going on at this warehouse, and if you're interested, come on down, we have everything on sale. Now the person who sent it to me did not own the shoe store. The person who sent it to me warehoused the shoes for this shoe store. I had no intention of buying shoes that morning. I had no intention of buying shoes that month. And sort of around 11 o'clock in the morning, I decided I'm going to take a trip down, and I ended up buying 2 pairs of shoes. So from a relatable perspective, viral marketing is all about getting the message out and then getting people to share that message. So social media really is an entirely different marketing animal because of the opportunity for viral marketing. But it's also quite different because it's driven by consumers. Now, this morning's presentation is about social media, and I really wanted the media part to be a part of it, but unfortunately I don't have an internet connection, because what I would do is share with you this fantastic video. I lived in Nova Scotia for about 5 years, and periodically on a Sunday, anybody here familiar with Nova Scotia, Halifax? So you're familiar with the lower deck? So periodically I would trek down to the lower deck, and I would hear this great band called Sons of Maxwell play. And I thought, these guys are pretty good. I really enjoyed their music. I didn't know a lot about Sons of Maxwell until about 1.5 years ago, when Sons of Maxwell, I guess they've been doing very well for themselves, and they ended up getting some gigs down in the States. So unfortunately for them, but more unfortunately for United Airlines, they decided to fly United Airlines and go down to the States. And United Airlines broke their guitar. And so the fellow who's a member of the band, now this wasn't a seriously expensive guitar, but he went back to United Airlines and said, you know, I really think that I'd like some compensation. I want you to pay me for my guitar. And for 9 months straight, he tried to have a conversation with United Airlines. Not only did they refuse to pay for the replacement of his guitar, but they refused to even have a conversation with him. So what did he do? Well, he's a musician. What's at his disposal? Social media. So he created a video called United Breaks Guitars. And I would really wish I could show you that video. Now they've, I think there's at least 20 videos on their YouTube channel, but that video alone has had over 9 million hits. And of course, the really interesting part about this is 9 million hits later, what do you think United Airlines did? Well, I'll tell you one thing, they paid for the guitar. I'm pretty sure he got compensated handsomely. And of course, they had to do a PR campaign cleanup. They had to go out there and start having conversations with the very people who are using their services. So this is where social media becomes very overwhelming and challenging, because it is so different. There is a completely different mindset when you're using social media versus any other type of activity that you use in your business to generate growth in your business. So we now have maybe 30 minutes, I'm hoping, to cover off a lot of information. What I really wanted to talk about is, you know, before we get into social media, it's really good to have a baseline understanding of what it actually is. Can you condense social media into a sentence or two so that you have a really good understanding? Because until you really know what it is, it's really tough to just go out there and do social media. So we're going to talk about what is social media. Is it valid? As I mentioned, a lot of people sort of buy into the idea. Well, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should seriously consider social media. And then above and beyond that, let's talk a little bit about what that new attitude is and why it's important to really understand that new attitude, how it can benefit you. There are some potential downfalls. And then, of course, the real meat and potatoes, which is what everybody wants to know, how. How do I do this? Okay, you give me all these great reasons. What's my strategy? Where do I start? So this is hopefully what we're going to cover off today. So first and foremost, what is social media? Well, there is a Wikipedia definition, which is quite lengthy. The most important part of that definition is the bottom part. Social media transforms broadcast media monologues, which is one person to many people, into media dialogues, which is many people to many people. So it's really people having conversations with people. Simply put, it's people having conversations online, using all of the technology available to them. What's really fascinating about social media is that everybody now has the opportunity not just to consume content, but to create content. So everybody has the opportunity to become a publisher, which becomes interesting in terms of what people are publishing, but it can also be highly valuable and highly effective in terms of engaging with the people who can make a difference to the growth of your business. Because now you have an opportunity to make a difference with these people. So social media is really just people having conversations online, and the conversations, and I think this is where it can get somewhat overwhelming, the conversations are powered by a multitude of different types of platforms. We have blogs, we have microblogs, there's online chats, there's RSS feeds, there's widgets, we have Wikipedia, there's social networks. There are a lot of social networks out there. There's social bookmarks. We have forums, podcasts, there's video sharing sites, there's photo sharing sites. There's all of these platforms, and all of these conversations are being supported by the tools. This is a really busy slide, and I looked at it and thought, well, you can't even make out all of the individual tools. There are so many tools, you could never put them all in one slide. It's really just to give you a sense of what the tools are that facilitate you having a conversation with people who can make a difference to your business and whom you can make a difference to their lives. And of course, it becomes overwhelming because your question is, well, that is great. What do I do with it? Where do I start with this stuff? How does it even work? How am I ever going to learn all of this stuff? And of course, that's really what we're going to get into. The good news is you don't have to learn all of that stuff. You can do it incrementally. So in terms of social media, What are the 5 reasons why you should give it some serious consideration? First and foremost, let's talk about reason number 1. Social media is popular. You know, as of 2007, which is almost 3 years ago now, social media has become more popular than porn sites. I'm not even going to go there. Having said that, you know, take a look at, there's a lot of statistics. I wanted to boil it down to some key points. There are 350 million Facebook accounts. Facebook, without exception, is one of the #1 social networking tools out there. 350 accounts, 350 million accounts, that's a lot of people. But of course, we know that not everybody's active. You know, my dad just created an account recently, and he's 74, just learning how to use it. So he's not going to be as active as, you know, my 18-year-old niece. Having said that, there are 185 million people with Facebook accounts who log into Facebook every single day. That is a huge number of people, absolutely huge. And I was doing some research online yesterday and discovered, not to my surprise, that officially as of 2010, Facebook has become more popular than Google. And what we mean by more popular is it's being more widely used. People are spending more time being social than they are on Google doing research for any purposes. You know, which says a lot about the direction that we're moving in terms of how people want to communicate with each other. So social media sites are very popular. And of course, businesses have really gotten the idea that social media has become popular because in a recent research piece done by Marketing Sherpa, and this was as of the end of, I think it was November of '09, of all of the businesses that they interviewed in North America, 49% said that they felt that social media was valid enough that they would incorporate it into their platform for doing business and they would allocate more budget money to social media. So that's a pretty big step. We'll see what that means in terms of our business environment moving forward. So number 2, 78% of people trust the recommendations of other customers, other consumers. Only 14% trust advertisements. I had my eyes operated on a couple of years ago. Now, do you think I was basing my decision on where I was going to have my eyes done based on who had the best marketing advertising? Absolutely not. I'm not trusting these eyes to an ad. No way. Especially, and I was amazed at, especially when you see how many laser institutes offer their eye surgery for sale. I don't want anybody doing anything on my eyes that's for sale. So of course, what did I do? Well, I went online and I researched and I looked at consumer reviews and I called my friends. Who did you use? Did you have a good experience? And that is how I made my decision. I didn't base it on any advertising. And of course, the company that I use would do very well to incorporate some social media to generate the customer reviews